This video contains spoilers for The Mandalorian Season 2. The season finale is approaching and all clues seem to point to an endgame-style team-up against Moff Gideon to rescue the child. However, there is still one lingering story point left unresolved from the most recent episode of the show, Chapter 14, The Tragedy. The Mandalorian and the child arrived on the legendary planet in Star Wars lore, Tython. Ahsoka Tano had instructed Din Djarin to place the child on the Seeing Stone at the top of a mountain. Then, if he reached out through the Force, the possibility was that a Jedi might sense his presence and come looking for him. Many fans were left quite surprised that instead of a Jedi appearing, the iconic and legendary bounty hunter Boba Fett, played by none other than Temuera Morrison, showed up. What was left of the Empire was not far behind him, however, and Grogu ended up being taken. Some were left wondering, since there was no chance for a Jedi to find Grogu before he was taken, is there still a chance this season that we will see a certain famous Jedi show up? And that is, of course, Luke Skywalker himself. While there are other possibilities for who could show up after they had sensed the child reaching out through the Force, fans in large number are warming up to the possibility for Luke to enter this series. There are concerns, however. Many have been left greatly disappointed or even offended by how Luke Skywalker was portrayed in Disney's sequel trilogy, and it is certainly understandable for there to be dread at the thought of Disney meddling again in an attempt to expand on who this beloved icon of Star Wars is. It seems so far this season that showrunners Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have been trying to score some goodwill with the die-hard Star Wars community. The recent live-action portrayal of Katie Sackhoff's Bo-Katan, Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka Tano, and more recently Temuera Morrison's action-packed appearance as Boba Fett have been widely praised among the majority of the Star Wars fanbase. While there have been several valid points made by critics of the show regarding a few of the inconsistencies and lore-breaking elements that have been introduced, by and large, most of the fandom agrees that these characters have been respected by the showrunners and are glad to see the absence of any Rian Johnson-style subversion of expectations with these beloved legacy characters. Because of this response, a few have wondered whether it's possible for Disney to correctly handle the reintroduction of Luke into the story at some point. Considering that the casting of Katie Sackhoff and Rosario Dawson had major backing from the fans themselves, and that it seemed to be a significant factor in their being chosen for these roles, fans are hoping for lightning to strike again, and that Disney Lucasfilm will cast another popular choice in regards to Luke Skywalker, and that would be for Sebastian Stan to take on the role. There are, of course, those who would hope Mark Hamill could still be used with de-aging technology being implemented. While I certainly appreciate that sentiment, considering what Mark Hamill has said himself about stepping into that role again, I don't think that choice is likely. In a social media post in May of 2020, the actor, in a play on words reflecting on the rise of Skywalker film, said, "May the 9th be a bittersweet episode, knowing it was the last time I would ever play Luke." He also added the hashtag #ByeByeSkywalker. I still would not rule out his appearance in some capacity in the various rumored Disney Lucasfilm projects in development, though as Luke Skywalker he seems pretty set on that. There is also the fact that in this timeline, roughly 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, there would have to be a significant amount of CG used to de-age the actor, and the results of that technology have been very mixed. Even though a young CG Luke was in The Rise of Skywalker, the scene was very dark and there was no dialogue. With these points in mind, fans are mostly of the opinion that if Luke were to enter the picture in some capacity, a new actor should probably step into the role to portray the iconic character in the best way. Fans have already been setting the stage for Sebastian Stan to possibly take on the role for several years now. Images comparing Sebastian Stan to a young Mark Hamill began to make the rounds back in 2016 during the release of Captain America: Civil War. Given the actor's long relationship with Disney and the Marvel films and his new series on Disney+, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it seems like the pieces fit together pretty nicely. Mark Hamill himself even noted the uncanny resemblance, posting on social media an image of Stan and a young Hamill side by side, joking, "Sorry to disappoint you, but I refuse to say, Sebastian Stan, I am your father, even though in fact, I am." As to what Sebastian Stan thinks about playing a young Luke, the Winter Soldier actor has said several times he's all for it.
This week there's a story that Star Wars fans want you to play Luke Skywalker.
Well, that's a really nice story.
And that Mark Hamill actually supports that. So what's your reaction?
God bless him. My reaction is, when do we shoot? I'm all for it. Whenever they want to go, let's do it.
This fan casting has been getting real traction online over the course of these several years, not only for his uncanny resemblance to young Mark Hamill and the fact that the actor already has a relationship with Disney, but I also think the traction has only continued to grow with the release of the sequel films. And regardless of how you view Disney's trilogy, most fans have agreed that Luke Skywalker got the short end of the stick, not only in terms of screen time in comparison to the other legacy characters, but also in how they were portrayed. Luke was so far removed from what we knew him to be. Fans were hoping for so much more, for an awesome and faithful portrayal of the beacon of hope himself that fans fell in love with. Mark Hamill has repeatedly expressed his disappointment with how the character was written also, which made it that much worse for fans. At the end of the day, fans want this beloved character honored and respected. In an article by We Got This Covered, posted recently, Disney Lucasfilm is reportedly interested in pursuing the casting of Sebastian Stan on the condition that Mark Hamill gives his stamp of approval. Insider Daniel Richtman is claiming that Lucasfilm is leaning the same direction as fans and said, quote, Lucasfilm changed their minds. Instead of de-aging Mark Hamill, they decided with Hamill's approval to cast Sebastian Stan in the role of young Luke for future projects. As with any rumor, I would take it with a grain of salt. However, if this is true, I can definitely see Mark Hamill giving his stamp of approval, considering he's already said as much and has had friendly interchanges online with Sebastian Stan about this prospect. As he has stated definitively he will no longer be playing the role again, I cannot see him denying another actor the prospect as well. Again, this is a very bittersweet prospect, as Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker. But while we got Mark Hamill in the sequel trilogy, we unfortunately did not get the Luke we knew and loved along with him. Even Mark Hamill has said this on multiple occasions. So even if another actor steps into these monumental shoes, but is able to convey an accurate, faithful, and awesome portrayal of this character that fans have come to know and love for decades, then yes, I am excited for that prospect. At the core of it all, I firmly believe that's what fans want. Casting Sebastian Stan is just the beginning, however. They also have to proceed very carefully with how Luke is introduced and the part he plays in the timeline. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more Star Wars and other sci-fi and fantasy content. And I'm interested to know what you think about this rumor, the actors' comments, and what you think this could mean for the character of Luke Skywalker moving forward. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.